will name her Nova. We name them all Nova.
I am with director Wes Ball for Kingdom of Planet of the Apes, one of my most anticipated movies this year. You have no idea, sir. Hey, man, that trailer looks fire, bro. First of all, is this your first WonderCon?
No, actually, my first WonderCon was my first movie, Maze Runner.
Oh,
so I was here 10 years ago almost, yeah.
Was that the last WonderCon you were at?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. You haven't had a chance to explore the floor, but is there anything down there that you're excited to check out?
I'll see what's. I hear it's kind of got an indie vibe this time. Is that right? So I'm kind of cool. That's cool. I'm kind of interested to see what's out there.
Same. I like going down Artist Alley and seeing like people have down there. But look, first of all, we're talking about the Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. I'm really excited for this film. Can you share any insight into the creative process for the development of this film?
Well, maybe the only insight was, when the studio came and asked, what do you think about what would you do with the next Planet of the Apes movie? Which, by the way, when this movie comes out, will be almost just shy of 5 years ago. Whoa. So it's been that long. Now, we survived a regime change at the studio. We survived the pandemic. Many, many obstacles along the way of the development of this movie. So it wasn't like totally constant necessarily. But yeah, it was obviously a very daunting task to follow up, what is kind of a perfect trilogy, But really, for me, it was just how do we find that balance where we can be our own standalone thing. Sure. We are a new chapter in this long legacy of movies since 1968, but still honor what came before us. You know what I mean? So that's what we tried very hard to find, is that balance between being our own thing but still feeling like it belonged, not just tonally, but also even story-wise. We are an extension, a continuation of that Caesar legacy, I guess. But we are our own kind of new characters and story. It opens up new opportunities, I know there's people that wanted to see, Cornelius and the adventures of Cornelius and stuff, and someone can still do that story, But the fact that we got to kind of have this distance from that movie, it just opened up new opportunities that are going to let us do something even more exciting and big, I think, than maybe people were expecting. So, I'm really excited that I think we picked the right way to do this. And so it doesn't just feel like a part 4. It feels like a new chapter, a new page in this long, awesome legacy of movies,
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We're roughly 300 years into the future. Was that always the initial idea where you wanted to be in the Planet of the Apes storyline?
I never say the actual time.
That's me guessing. I'm assuming.
That's a good guess. I think it's a good guess. That for me was the thing that made me excited. It's like when I was first asked, it could be anything. It could be following this, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until we came with that idea that it opened up all these amazing opportunities that we could do something that is interesting. It's just more interesting than just like another one. You know what I mean? So that distance, I think, is key for me. It turns kind of the lore of Caesar into the stuff of myth and legend, and so it's fun to examine what has happened to the legacy of that guy, right. His story, how has it been corrupted, what has survived. There's great ideas there that are very thought-provoking ideas of what happens to truth. And so, yeah, and that's very apropos for just not only today, but also Planet of the Apes in general. Remember Dr. Zaius and all the truth that they hit? I mean, that's part of these legacy of these movies. So we get to, like I said, be a part of this thing that makes these movies so great, but do our own thing with it. You know what I mean?
I'm so excited you're directing this film. As soon as you boarded this project, I knew we were in for something special. You're a visual effects master. The Planet of the Apes series is renowned for its groundbreaking visual effects. Can you discuss the technology advancements utilized in this film compared to its predecessors?
Yeah, no, it's just more is what it is. I mean, it's whole new characters. It's and I think just a visual thing is, the approach we took was, one, we were going to shoot on really old lenses.
Really?
So we shot, this is the first Apes movie, I think, at least compared to the previous 3, where we're shooting on anamorphic lenses. And so what that basically means is it feels like one of those old movies from the 70s that you watched, you know what I mean? So the lenses are kind of crappy on the sides, and even our LUT is based on an old Agfa film LUT. I hadn't even heard of it before. So it's this old 70s thing that does a really great, interesting thing to the skin tone. So it has a feel like it's this old found movie from a decades ago, even though it's the most cutting edge, best visual effects you've ever seen. You know what I mean? So that was a really fun process. But, Weta, I'm just, I can't say enough good things. I've been with him now for 3.5 movies. I almost made Mouse Guard with him. But I've been just so fortunate to have, it's just something so humbling about working with the best people in the world at what they do. You know, they create miracles on screen. It's just incredible stuff. And so, like, you haven't really seen much in the trailer yet, but there's a tremendous amount of simulation work in this movie that I think is fantastic. I think people will talk about it, from a geeky visual effects standpoint, because they're doing things they just haven't done before. I mean, just the simulation data, the cache files that they render for this stuff, it's 10 to 11 petabytes of material. That's more than the weight of water. Jeez. It was what I'm told. It's like something like almost 1 billion processor hours of compute time on this stuff. It's staggering, the amount of just like sheer, geeky technical stuff on this movie, but all in service of just incredible storytelling. Sure. Of what they're able to do, of take this actor who gives his performance of his life, on camera in the environment we're shooting in, with the real light and the real sun going down, and we're all racing. Oh my God, go, And then we take that footage and we edit it, and then we give it over to Weta, and then the shot that comes back is this living, breathing ape that looks like the actor. It looks like them, but it's not them, So it's like a miracle. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch what they do. And like I said, I think it's some of the best work they've ever done.
Now I know why it's taken 5 years. I mean, that's a lot of processing power. Also, you got me really excited about those anamorphic lenses. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine who was an editor on a Terrence Malick film, and he was telling me films from the 70s, the greatest films always used anamorphic 35 millimeter. So that's pretty cool. Now, the themes of coexistence and conflict between humans and apes are central to this franchise. How are these themes explored in Kingdom of Planet of the Apes?
That is really ultimately, I think, what the core concept of these movies is, what makes them tick. It is that kind of relationship between apes and humans. So we are no different. We are very much about that story, and it's an interesting thing that the previous set of movies really began in the human world, and it was about this ape who came into it, and then we get to kind of turn that on its head now and start with the ape world and see how a human comes in and changes that, and potentially opens many more doors, literally, for other installments. So the ape and human thing is very, very central to like the story and the themes of this movie. So
now, I love that you're taking inspiration from the look and feel of like the 70s. What other inspirations did you draw from when developing this film?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, obviously we watched the original Planet of the Apes quite a bit. Like, there's some imagery in this movie that looks like it could have been lifted from that '68 version.
So excited for this, man.
Yeah, there's some, and there's even the music. And by the way, even our music, some of our music is. I told John, my paisano, my composer, did the measurements with me, but it's got to be a little bit Jerry Goldsmith, it's got to be a little bit Giacchino, and the rest is all yours. You know what I mean? So you're going to hear echoes of themes from the Giacchino movies, for instance. You're going to hear echoes, you're going to hear like almost straight nostalgic nods to the Goldsmith stuff that is so iconic, you know what I mean? So I think that we have a lot of fun that way. But yeah.
Now, with this film taking place in a significant the future of the last films that we've seen, can you talk about this being a great jumping on point for new viewers for the Planet of the Apes franchise?
That's a good question. I get asked that a lot, and I will say the movie is designed, you do not have had to see the previous movies to jump into this. It isn't like season 3 of a TV series, sure. Right? So it is designed to kind of, you will have enough to enjoy it for what it is. We have a little opening prologue kind of thing that kind of sets the table a little bit. So, but I will say this, I think it's on Hulu or Disney Plus now or something, but like, go watch those previous 3 movies and go watch the 1968 version. At least watch those 4 movies. You will be rewarded greatly if you have some, familiarity with those movies when you go into this movie. But like I said, I think even the whole family can go to these things. There's some thought-provoking kind of adult ideas in this thing, but there's nothing gory. There's nothing kind of too intense necessarily. But it is a mature kind of adventure. Sure. But it's safe for kids. They can take it.
Now, what elements were you excited to explore in this film that the original couldn't or didn't?
The original '68 version?
Yeah.
Good question. Well, you get to see how it came to be. That to me was a really interesting thing. I think we talked about this before, but like, if the last 3 movies were the apes in the Stone Age, we're now entering the apes Bronze Age, where they're taking on cultures and developing rites of passage, and and legacy, and legends are building, and things are being written down, truths are being set in stone, and new civilizations are being born. So we get to kind of see, just like our own self, our species, essentially, how we march through the eras of our civilization. We get to just have that first little step towards that 68 version where we have apes, doing democracy and blowing up Statue of Liberties and, all that kind of stuff. We just get to see a little piece of that start, that beginning, so it's cool.
What are the future plans for this series, and will it eventually catch up or overtake the original film series story?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do not think I have to answer that question. I think there's plenty of runway for this franchise, and I'm sure I'll be doing something else someday. But yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it there.
Originally, it was.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
If I had my druthers, and again, this is not my choice to make, you would not remake the 1968 version. You would make a bunch of them. You could maybe make another 3 after these 3. You could do a lot. There's a lot of story to mine there. There's a lot of time to mine there. Go all the way up to the point where like an ape looks up and sees a spaceship crashing down. Boom, cut to black, goes back to 68, and you start all over again. That would be the way to go, I think, in my mind.
It's like you're pitching me the new franchise, layout for the new plan of the franchise. Now, there was originally reports that this movie was to follow Caesar's son. Was that ever considered at all?
No, not for me personally. I mean, I totally appreciate why. I totally agree too. I think Cornelius is a great character, and that opportunity is still there. Like this movie does not replace the previous trilogy. It does not replace the fact that someone could still do a little standalone story between our 3. Sure. You know what I mean? So. For me, it was not interesting enough. I needed to have something that was new. It was different, and I think we've seen that in just the world, the state of the movie business that we're in right now. I think you see it. Audiences are getting a little tired of the same thing, and so the best thing to do is to give it a fresh face and start kind of anew. And our story embraces that idea. It's about rediscovering, unearthing kind of what came before. And so to follow the kind of the same character, it just would not yield as much. At least stuff for me personally. Sure. To get excited. I certainly love to watch that movie. I just don't think I would have made that movie.
Right. Now, with the time period and introduction of Nova, the movie stays closer to the original books than the previous films could. Can we expect more characters like Ulysses in the future?
Yes.
It's a great answer. Now, without giving any spoilers away, can you tease any moments in the film that you're really excited for fans to see?
I have to say, I've been so lost in the woods on this movie. At this point, you're catching me I'm in the last 3 weeks of delivering this movie. I've still got 100 VFX shots to final. I'm color grading it. I'm mixing all the sound and music. I'm trying to get all that stuff working, because when you really design these movies, like you're really creating like individual puzzle pieces, like in a jigsaw puzzle, and all separate. You have to carve it just right to make sure that piece there's going to fit there. And then right now, where at this period I'm in right now, I literally just left DI from like yesterday, still working on this thing, that all those pieces come together right here at this period, and you hope that all fits. You know what I mean? So far it is, so good news. But yeah, I don't know. It's quite an experience. I forget, what was your question?
I mean, you answered it. I mean, we're solid. Now, look.
Somewhere with that.
You've spent 5 years on this project. That's a long time for any project. In that 5-year process, what do you think you learned about yourself as a director from this experience that you're going to take on with you in other experiences?
Gosh, I don't know, man.
I mean, I guess you're still kind of in the process of doing it.
Still in the process, but I always say that the previous 3 movies that I did were also, good practice. This was good practice too. You learn something in every movie. I certainly understand now sort of how to deal with the mocap aspect of it all. I think there's probably, I would do things a little differently. I've learned some things, of course, but yeah, I guess I would say that it's you learn something from every project you do, and you try to top yourself. And I tend to not look back on my previous movies and say, I did it, I'm done. Sure. I always see the things that I wish I could have done better. And so the same thing for this one is just, moving on, try to become, a better storyteller, better filmmaker, and, learn these incredible tools that are at our disposal, and have the opportunity to be a part of something that's so, big in scale and importance, is humbling, and obviously it's a dream come true,
Absolutely. Now, last question I have for you is there's a ton of Planet of the Apes fans out there that are going to look at every single frame of this film. Can you tease any fun Easter eggs from some of the past iterations of the franchise that are in this film?
Yeah, there's stuff from the '68 movie. There's definitely stuff from the previous 3 movies. Even down to, I don't know if any of the fans know the '68 version. There was a scene with a baby doll, and there's a baby doll, and we took literally that sound from the archives and we're using it in this movie. So there's stuff like that all over the place. Even sounds that you heard from those movies that sound department is even, inserting in here and there, just, trying to stay part of that tradition, that history, honor that stuff. But yeah, there's Easter eggs everywhere for anyone who really, like I said, who have seen those movies. They'll see a lot of that kind of stuff.
Well, look, Wes, thank you so much for joining us, man. Enjoy WonderCon. Hopefully you go find some cool stuff down on the floor. But it was a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.